education, law enforcement, policies, human rights, children, abuse, gender equality, race, religion, politics, government, sex, legal, justice, democracy.
Because
Every
issue is
Is
a
a
woman's
woman's
issue.
today we're talking about gender-based abuse, particularly domestic violence in Guyana and the world. And I have with me Sheena Henry and Martina Hoalim, two young, lovely ladies who have experiences from different backgrounds, and me. And we hope to bring to you our different experiences, not only that we know about, but that we know about from the news, from other women, from other girls. And what we really hope is that we encourage you to think about the things we're talking about and to know that at the end of the day, we're all one female family and that we should look out for each other. So that's what we want to talk about. So today we're talking about domestic violence and what it is and gender-based abuse. And so many times people think it's a cuff and a slap.
Yeah, but it's so much more than that. It's him saying to you, you're not good enough, or would want to tell you about your private parts, and things I'm not even going to mention
Yeah.
right now. They are it's really a terrible experience to have, and it's one that could scar you if not treated accordingly or gets in the
Taken
right help
seriously.
as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, the help.
It's about to
Mhm.
get real, but uncomfortable real. But you know what? Let's do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think people think that it's actually very general and not as specific. They think that it's only one being physical when there's actually emotional abuse, there's psychological abuse as well,
Yeah.
which is often overlooked. And I feel like, this is one of those platforms where we actually get to really shine the light on it that I'm happy to do.
Well, I suffered emotional abuse. It was from my husband. He was my second husband. Yeah, he was very, very emotionally abused because because the law came out then that they became very serious. He used to take domestic abuse very seriously, especially on the physical part. So he decided he could be very, very mean and very, very emotionally abusive. He hit me a couple times. He slapped me. And he hit the children also. He would hit the children, them too. They weren't his children, they were my children. Because you see, he had two separate rules. He laid down laws and rules how the children and the house should be governed. But then when it comes to his children, there was a different set of laws. They could always get the very things that he would speak about against that the church should do. His children would get off doing it, and if mine does it, or even something similar to what it is, he would come down and give very harsh punishment. He would hit them.
I remember a case. So we know for sure a cough and a kick and a slap, that's domestic violence and that's domestic abuse.
Physical abuse.
Physical abuse.
Right.
Anything
Yeah.
physical. Wring your hand, wring your ears, slam you into a wall, kick you, cuff you.
Mhm.
That's domestic abuse.
Right.
But I remember a case where the judge actually said, so this man had killed his wife in one of the islands, I think in the Demerara River or Essequibo River, I can't remember. And the written judgment actually he told her about the looseness of her parts as men are wont to do. And this was a written judgment.
Wow.
And I was a young lawyer and I was just shocked that this could be something
A
that
person
we're
would say.
acknowledging in writing,
Yeah.
but this was the reality.
Mm.
So it's not just the kicks and the cuffs. It's, like you said, making you feel useless.
Yeah.
It's verbal and psychological.
Verbal.
And
So like
emotional.
verbal what?
Verbal abuse.
As in, yeah,
Like cursing at you, using profanity, and
Yeah.
degrading you, making you feel like
Yeah.
you have no self-worth as well.
nobody ain't gonna want you when I'm done with you. You're
Yeah.
good for nothing. Without
You're a
me,
whore,
yeah.
you're a slut.
Yeah.
People gonna pass you around.
Oh,
People gonna
people
pass,
pass you around. Right. No
Yeah.
man will want you
No man
after
will want
this.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It's withholding money. So you have to come back to me to get your
Emotional
necessities.
blackmail.
Emotional blackmail. Or if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have that. You wouldn't be where you were if it wasn't for me.
Or stopping you from going with your friends. Because if I isolate you and I'm all you have,
Or even your family.
or your family, right?
Yeah.
So isolation, keeping you away from people.
Yeah, I know of instances where, you see, I don't know how it, I can't explain how it gets so far, but it's like the woman was actually kept from visiting her family, and every time she went to, she wants to go visit her family, it becomes an issue. He would get violent and start to tell her a whole lot of derogatory
Remarks.
He would tell me things like he has to mind me, he has to take care of me, that he's struggling, all his burden is his own, the children are not his, but he has to take care. But listen, he stopped the father. He doesn't want the children to have contact with the father, nor with me. So how can he support his children? And then he could turn around and say, insult us, because he has to take care. And he was an alcoholic. So he would buy his rum when he's coming home from school. On the way, he was a teacher. Yeah, and he would drink and he would work himself up in a frenzy and start anything he would say. If he doesn't have to be true because he was just naturally abusive, he just wants to be mean, that's all.
But why do you think that is? That's because if she's with family and she's with friends, she has this extra bit of support that you're trying to take away from her. Make you completely dependent on him.
What puzzles me is, why would a human being want to do that to another human being?
For power.
Yeah,
Right.
we'll come to that just now. For power.
For power.
Exactly.
To,
you know what is
to boost their own ego.
Yeah.
You have got to be such a small person to feel the need to do that to somebody else,
To feel powerful. You know what's another form of abuse that people, especially women, don't talk about? So I used to work at Legal Aid. And almost everyone who came in for a divorce would tell me bits and pieces of their abusive relationship that they had. And by the way, when people go for divorce, it's after years of trying not to.
Yeah.
Right?
Putting up
with it. Right. And they would always say, constantly he was rude or he was violent. And so, but only if I asked, well, was he sexually violent also? Only if I asked, they would say, yes, he used to rape me, or he used to make me do things I don't want to do, but don't put that in the petition because they don't want it there. And a lot of women actually think that because I'm married to him,
he can't rape you.
He can't rape me. I'm his sex slave. I can do, it is his to have. And it comes from a long ago thing where women were chattel. You were the property of men.
Yep.
And because you were, they could do whatever they wanted with you, whenever, however, wherever,
and you didn't have a say.
And you didn't have a say. So people don't count sexual abuse as
within the marriage
or within a relationship as abusive. But if he's making you do things, tell me.
No. So let's just get this clear, right? So you're telling me that, so what we're establishing here is
rape occurs within marriages.
He comes on to you while you're not in the mood.
Yeah.
And he makes advances to you, even though, like, you say no out loud and he's coming on, but you're married to him, so you give in, and that is actually
well, anything that you don't want to do, any kind of no is rape, right? And we now recognize since 2010 that in our laws that marriage consent does not flow from marriage. You still have to have inherent consent. And so a lot of women would tell you that it's not only him having sex with me when I don't want to, but him forcing me to do different things that I do not want to do, including threesomes and other, different things that people don't want to do, but they think they have to keep their marriage.
It's just so sad that people would wait until the situation escalates to such a traumatic ending that, sometimes if you're not lucky, you come out with crippled your hand, you suffered some violent injury.
You have things to remind you of.
So here's the thing. So we just examined for you what types of behavior would amount to domestic violence and domestic abuse. It's physical, It's verbal, you're a whore, you're good for nothing, you're worth nothing. It is keeping money away from you. It is isolating you from friends. It is sex abuse. It is making you feel worthless and emotionally weak. It is making you dependent on them. So there are various things that are considered domestic violence.
He used to withhold money. Even though I work, I cannot spend the money. I have no control of the money I have to give him because he's saying he has to take care of the home, take care of the family, and what I'm working for is not much compared to what he's working for. So he should decide how to spend the money and budget the money. But we never had stuff because he's always drinking every day, every single day. He making sure he's coming home with a bottle of rum, and he would drink, and then he would start abuse, quarreling, cussing into the wee hours in the morning till 2-3 o'clock in the morning. Then you can get to sleep. I had to turn over all the money that I work for. I had to give him, and then the next time after I stopped doing domestic work, we started a business selling sweet meat. I used to deliver the sweet meat in Georgetown, supplying market stalls, and whenever I sell, I have to bring back all this money and give it to him. I have no money to spend on my own. I never used to get clothes, nothing. We never used to get, even his children. Other people had to give them second-hand clothes. All the money he would take, and he would just drink it out. We never used to get anything. No. Oh, we would make sure there is food. Yes, we get food. And that's it. Just that basic.
I want to ask you something. Have you ever suffered domestic abuse?
Well, I have been in situations and witnessed it firsthand. Based on what you would have said, what we would have discussed there, unfortunately, I'm going to be truthful so that I'm hoping that this will help somebody out there. Yes, and I've known family members who would have been unfortunate to be at the bitter
Experience
end of
that
this
as well.
Yeah. And it's like the stats say, it's 1 in 3 women.
1 in 3. So with the 3 of us here, at least one of us
At
would have
least
been
one.
abused at some point.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
Yeah.
You know,
So-
the thing is, some women.
Have you?
I haven't.
You haven't.
I haven't.
And that's great. You're 22.
I'm 23.
So I hope you live the rest of your life and you
Yes.
can actually say that.
Yes.
But it's also true. Here is one woman who has never experienced domestic violence. And I think it's interesting to talk about that because sometimes you don't even realize what you're going through is violent because you think it's someone.
I was
holding
just
a
about
knife
to
your
mention that
throat.
a lot of women don't know that their situations are abusive and they often make excuses for their partner. Like, oh, he doesn't want you to go see your family. He doesn't want you to have a social life. Oh, he just loves me so much. He's just territorial. He's just possessive. He just, wants my company all the time. But it's not always him putting his hands on you.
Yeah.
It is abuse at the end of the day. And a lot of women don't realize that their situations are abusive.
I think
Yeah.
it stemmed too from the environment that you would have been brought up in. It's
Right.
what you see. It like becomes
And
so
treat as normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why people don't speak up about it until it's too late sometimes.
So you know what's a good question to ask yourself? I think. Would you want your daughter to feel the way you feel?
Heck
Because
no.
a lot of us,
No.
exactly, a lot of
Heck
us
no.
put up with a lot of crap because I love this man. It's a very complex relationship. I like he bad. He's better than other people that I know. Better the one that I know than the ones I don't. I have children with him. I have a house. We have a mortgage. We have investments. That kind of thing. But the question to ask yourself, if you're feeling uncomfortable and you're not sure if it's violent, would you want your daughter to be going through this? And if your answer is no, then chances are you need to get out.
We separated several times, but after the lies, because we took so many counseling and it still wouldn't work out, and the lies. One day, his sister came from abroad, and he filled her head with lies again. And she came with a vengeance on me, and he filed for a divorce because he always wants his way. He always asking for things. He determined to get his way, and when he gets his way, he finished with it. He doesn't want it. And so this time he filed for the divorce. And I was always praying because it's God helped me through this most of all. You see, if you don't have a connection with God, it can be very hard where you lose hope on persons, commit suicide and those things. But because of God, he saw me through this. He gave me the strength. And when he filed for this divorce, I took it as an opportunity of God answering my prayers, and I came out. And after his sister went back, he said he didn't want to go through the divorce anymore as his normal rigmarole and what his game. But I said, no, this is the opportunity. God gave me the opportunity and I came out because all the children were suffering. You stay in this because you say, because of the children's sake, you want to provide for them security. But then when you look at how emotionally scarred they are, the example is not good. So you can't just think about yourself, you got to look at it all wrong. And so that's when I decided that I would come out of it. And I did came out of it. I didn't go back.
So we talked about the types of domestic violence. Now, who does this happen to? That's the thing.
It
That's
can
a good
happen to
question.
anybody.
No one is
It
exempt
can,
from
yeah,
abuse.
it can happen to anybody.
No one is exempt from
Your
abuse.
race doesn't matter, your stature, financial position, none of those things matter.
And the age, unfortunately,
Yeah.
as well.
Oh, your
Babies who, their parents who grew up in that type of household, their parents beat them for no specific reason. Oh, I'll give you something to cry for if you don't stop crying. And so they pass that on to their children as well. And they think it's normal.
Yeah.
And it's not.
I'm a mixture of Chinese and Indian, yes, and a little bit of African descent, yeah, from down the generation line.
So it's interesting. When I worked at, again, legal aid, which was based only in Georgetown, we now have legal aid in regions 2, 5, 6, 10, 3, and more because it was expanded. But when I was there in pre-2006, legal aid was only in Georgetown. And so you had mostly an African Guyanese clientele because it's Georgetown.
Mm-hmm.
And until I worked there, because I'm Indian,
Mm-hmm.
and I've only known the Indian experience, I thought that domestic violence was primarily something that happened to Indian women.
Mm-hmm.
And Indian women from a different educational background. So because that's what I saw in places where it happened.
And you hear there's a saying, cool man, beat the woman. Like those are the things.
No.
That
So
lead
I
you to
actually
think.
thought so. But when the worldwide
Like that.
stat is 1 in 3 women around the world. So it's Black women, it's white women, it's Chinese women, it's Portuguese women,
Yeah.
it's women,
Yeah.
Amerindian women. And the whole thing springs from a desire to be powerful and to show who's man.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
Who's the boss?
Who's the boss in
Yeah.
this relationship? So it's a power dynamic also. Now, what to do if you are being abused?
First of all, they should definitely report it. I think people don't know the extent of what legal assistance is there to help them.
Many times I reported him to the police. At one time when he beat my son very badly, I reported him. He got locked up for a couple of days, and then he got released because I had no one to support me. Then the father would not support me as well. He wasn't regular in supporting me, so I had no one really to depend then at that time. So I couldn't do anything, but I had to drop the matter.
Yeah. So let me tell you, what would you say people should do before I come in with the actual law?
Well, you're gonna come in with the law part and the official help and so on that's there, but I think support is important. And the people around you who love and really care for you would help you if you reach out. Like I'm talking about your family, so seek the support from your loved ones. They would help see you through it as well. Because oftentimes, as you said, these topics are so taboo. It's like, and the way how society is, it's like we are so ashamed to come out and say, this is what I'm going through, or this is what is happening.
Yeah.
But I would say, know who your supporters are, who your loved ones are, and seek their help before it is too late.
My sister and my sister-in-law, they were very supportive to me. They helped me when I made that decision. They helped me a lot. Yeah, because I didn't have a home then when I just left, they took me in and they supported me until I could get on my feet. Yeah, they supported me.
So here is the thing. And like I said, it's a hugely complex issue. You love this person. This is the person who's supposed to be looking after you, but he's pummeling you, making you feel like crap, making you feel like lesser than yourself. But you got children with him. You don't know anybody else. You already left your family. It's very, very complex.
Yes, I did love him afterwards when I was hurt and I was angry. But I did love him, but I said, no, I will not go back into that situation because even though I love him, then it can't compensate for all the damages that are being done, to the children, to myself emotionally. It was very hard, but I made up my mind. And by God's grace, I came out and I started working. Yeah.
We have a domestic violence act that became a family violence act. We have various orders that can be made under that act, such as protection order, which stops the person from coming near you within. So the court would say you can't come within 100 yards, you can't come within 500 yards of this person.
Order.
It's a restraining order. You can get an occupation order, which is actually an order that says you can the victim, the applicant, could occupy this home to the exclusion of the abuser, even if it is his home. So a lot of times people say, oh God, but I can't leave because where would I go?
Yeah.
And the court wouldn't put him out.
Right.
But the court has the power to do that. And we've specifically said that. That's called an occupation order. So throw you out your own house if you want to beat up your family. Temporarily, of course, until the matter is resolved and housing arrangements are made. You could get an financial order where he is forced to give maintenance for you and the children.
Right.
So you could get that order at the same time. You could get custody order temporarily. So if you feel like, oh no, but I can't leave because this man's going to keep my children and they're everything to me. So the law allows you to get all of that. There's also legal aid in most of the regions where you don't have to pay for, or if you do, it's a very small sum, subsidized legal services where you could get help to go to court. We've also done it in a way where you don't even need help. You could go to the magistrate's court yourself. You don't need a lawyer, and you can fill it up and the magistrate will deal with that. And the county clerks will help you fill that up. And then there's help and shelter and other shelters run by the government of Guyana through the Ministry of Human Services, where women are provided with shelter for themselves and their minor children. So you could go and live quietly, safely in a place that nobody knows.
Without having to worry.
Without having to worry. And you're provided with food, clothes, and all of that. Rooms to stay. Security, which is important, to stay. And then there's a 914 hotline that the Ministry of Human Services runs with the Guyana Police Force, I think, where you call that hotline and you get help. So there is help in all of this. Now, the purists are going to say that I shouldn't ask women to leave. And you shouldn't ask women to leave, that we should tell men to stop. And it's true. To the men I'm speaking who might be looking at this show, I'm saying, how could you say you love somebody and every time you're just hurting them and then coming back to say sorry and have makeup sex and makeup dinners and makeup
you know what
flowers?
I said to that? You are not a rehabilitation center.
Yeah.
You are not. Why is the woman, you gotta put up with this or try to get him to change whatever? It's very sorry I got
No. You know why I stopped? Because it doesn't matter what how you think you'll change him. He has to get professional help. Professional help with psychologists and psychiatrists.
And he has to want to change.
And he has to want that.
You
and
can't
I'm not
change
even
him
sure.
Right, off of your own.
Right. For sure, you can't just change because you say you want to. Right. Because this is an illness.
Before we go, because I see they're telling us to wrap up, I just want to say, I think that, at the end of the day, looking at it as well and how they strip you of your dignity and your self-worth. I just want any woman who is out there, if you're going through something like this, I want you to remember that you are beautiful, you are strong, you deserve so much better, and help is out there for you
Yeah.
once you reach out
Definitely.
for it.
Yeah, and for me, it's not. Should the man stop beating you? Yes. Should he stop cursing you? Yes. Should your husband treat you better? Yes. Should your boyfriend be kinder? Yes. But you also have a role to play in how you thrive, how you develop,
should be treated.
and how you should be treated. So while the purists would say I should ask men to stop, I am asking women to take control of your own lives.
Yeah.
This is your life. Take control of it. Get out. Put together the things you need to put together to get out. Pack up your little dishes and your little wares and start planning your exit.
Reach out for
Before
support.
it's too late.
Reach out for support. And before it's too late, for every woman who died, I would say they all, if you had asked them the day before, not died, were killed.
Yeah.
I would say that if you had asked them the day before, they would tell you something like, nah man, he's knock me, but he ain't gonna kill me.
Yeah.
He ain't gonna joke me up, he ain't gonna stab
Oh,
me.
he
ain't
would
gonna
never
kill
do
me.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he-
wouldn't do that.
he won't
He
do
don't
that.
go so far.
He don't
He's
go
only
so
beat
far.
me every now and then. That's what people would tell you. And I'm
Yeah.
saying to you that if you see these signs, get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get out. You're worth so much more. And we now have so many opportunities for women where you could go and get yourself educated. You can get temporary jobs. You can get your life. It's going to be a hard decision. It's
Yeah.
never going to be easy. But
It's not like it's easy in the first place if you're in
Right.
that situation.
exactly. It's not easy if you're in it. It's
Yeah.
probably harder to get out of it, but we're asking you to get out of it because unless he has professional help, he ain't changing. So that's what we want people to understand
Yeah.
also. And there is help out there for you. There are programs that women could go and become business owners. There are programs where you could be home and studying on the Guyana Online Academy of Learning scholarships. There are programs where you can get 10-day employment. So it's a little bit different now about what is available to you. You can still love me. Your heart is still going to flutter when you see him passing on the road, this handsome man that you gave your everything to. But you owe it to yourself to
Yeah.
come out of this relationship.
And your kids, if you have any. as well.
Definitely your kids, because then you both
Scarring
touched
them.
briefly on children growing up,
The scars,
thinking that this
yeah.
is normal, but
normal.
also being scarred by it.
Yeah. What to say? A lot was said, a mouthful was said. I just hope that the women who are listening, if you did not know if you were experiencing certain, what's the word?
Aspects of violence.
Yeah, if you were experiencing certain aspects or characteristics of violence and you were not sure if your situation or your relationship was abusive, we hope that we would have shed or clarified what it is now. And we hope for sure that you do take matters into your own hands, seek the help you get,
Yeah.
and leave that situation.
Help is there. Help
Mhm.
is there for you, and you deserve to be treated like the queen you are.
Yeah, and that's my thing too, that all of us have so much value. You're great mothers or sisters or wives waiting to be for somebody who will actually treat you well, or just a human being who wants to live out your full potential. And you should be able to do that. And to the other women looking on, who, not the victim, not the complainant, but the other women around her who know, don't get impatient. If she complains 10 times, listen to her the 11th time also. Don't say, oh, well, she always running back to him. To the women around, we have to support each other.
Yeah.
And I want you to know, in us, you have that friend. We're willing to
Always.
lend an ear. We're willing to help to get you out. And we're going to be patient because we understand it's a process. To the mothers and aunts and cousins and friends and workmates who know that your sister or workmate or daughter or niece is being abused, be patient with them and listen to them and support them through that leaving process, because it's a hard process, but it's one that is necessary.
Yeah.
So please do reach out for help. Legal Aid, Help and Shelter 914, any of the other places that we spoke about. Look to see if some of the things you weren't too sure of that was abusive, but we now told you that it is. Speak to people around you about it and get the help you need.
By God's grace, I'm working right now. I'm studying at Carnegie. I'm studying to be a seamstress. I'm always trying to elevate myself. Yeah, I love doing sewing since I was a little girl. You know, yeah, so this is one of my passions.
Health, development, education, law enforcement, policies, human rights, children, abuse, gender equality, race, religion, politics, government, sex, legal, justice, democracy.
Because
Every
Issue is a woman's issue.